Welcome to another edition of the Stadium Journey podcast. We are proud to be part of the HIAC Talk Radio Network. Thanks for joining us once again. Stadium Journey is the internet leader in stadium reviews for the traveling sports fan. Check out all of our 2,400 plus stadium, ballpark, and arena reviews on our website, stadiumjourney.com. You can check us out on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Stadium Journey. And you can find the Stadium Journey podcast and all of HIAC Talk Radio's other great shows at thebradyhicks.com, or just look us up on VOC Nation on iTunes Radio or wherever you find podcasts. We're everywhere. Follow the HIAC Talk Radio Network on Twitter at HIAC Talk Radio. If you'd rather watch your sports talk than just listen, we simulcast all our podcasts live at twitch.tv/danlaw83. And I don't know if anybody's there now, but if you are, hey. And if you miss one, all our podcast simulcasts can be found at youtube.com/danlaw83. And Stadium Journey has our own YouTube channel. You can find our podcast there too, I think. And let me take a minute and introduce our starting lineup. We've got Dave Cottenie with us. You can follow him online at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is not with us tonight. It's his birthday, so maybe we'll sing later, but probably not.
No.
He's with us in spirit, though. You can follow him at Ballpark Hunter. Follow our producer, the above-average comedian, Dan Calachico, at DanLaw83. And I am Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. And we have a special guest tonight, Amy Cottenie, who is joining us from the dungeon of the Cottenie Complex. I don't know why Dave stuck you in the basement, Amy, but your reason for being here will become clear in just a moment. So welcome. Thanks for joining us, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to jump right into our topic today because I've heard through the grapevine that Amy has an early bedtime. So we're going to get right into it. We'll do our visits at the end of the show today. So Webster's Dictionary, I'm going to start by being all fancy. Webster's Dictionary defines a pet peeve as something that a particular person finds especially annoying. So Dave pitched this idea, hey, let's do a show about our pet peeves at the ballparks. And I thought at first I was afraid we were all going to sound like a bunch of grumpy old men or something. Mm-hmm. But I put the topic out there on the Twitterverse, and I was overwhelmed by your responses. I wrote them all down. We're going to get to a few of them, hopefully, throughout the show. It was amazing. Pages and pages of stuff you guys all hate. So we'll work them into some of our show. But right now, let's start. Amy, do I want to put the pressure on you because you're coming on to talk as the wife of a ballpark traveler?
Yes, I am the wife of ProFan9. So I'm very happy to be joining and bringing a woman's perspective to the sports talk today. So sure, I'll start it off. So
yeah, what are some of the things that just aggravate the bejesus out of you?
One actually happened to us on our recent trip over Christmas, and it hasn't happened too many times, but it's not being allowed to bring your purse into the venue. I'm pretty sure the other guys may not mention this, but this is a huge pet peeve of mine that I am just dying to get off my chest. A woman needs her purse, and I understand security. I'm fine having it wanded. I'm fine having somebody go through it. I'll even dump it out on the table. But I need to bring in my purse. When it happened to us, I had to carry my wallet, my keys, my phone, everything, and it was annoying. The last time it happened to us, we left it in the car because I didn't even want to drag everything. So then every time I wanted something, I had to ask Dave for money, which is
backwards.
Completely backwards. So and other people were allowed to bring in, somebody brought into a hockey game a hockey stick with a flag on it, and I can't bring in my purse. It was ridiculous. So that was my pet peeve. If you want women to come to sports, let us bring in our purse.
We had the same thing happen to us on our recent trip. We were at Anaheim, and we didn't, we weren't smart enough or didn't think enough ahead to check the policies, but they have one of those clear bag policies there. So we get up to the screening area, and they said, nope, sorry, can't bring that in, clear bags only. mind you, you know, they say you can bring something that's, you know, yay big. They have this little box. If it fits in there, it should be good. Pam's purse fit in there. Said, nope, it's not clear. I think they were pissed because it had a Bruins logo on it or something, maybe. So I had to hike all the way back to the car, put her stuff in the car.
Well, that's what Dave had to do. The one place we went to, they actually had a tent outside.
That was UCLA.
Where you could check in your purses. So this is this ridiculous looking tent with some guy manning these purses. And when I went over there, there were some pretty expensive purses in there. I'm thinking these guys may just hold this tent and take this stuff and make a getaway. Like, am I really leaving my purse with these people?
It was just some people. Yeah, we'll watch your stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I thought, well, like, what choice have I got? But yeah.
Yeah, that was UCLA basketball at Pauley Pavilion, a little shack there, and I'm sure they could have paid their student loans off with all the purses that were in there. And the recent one was in Carolina Hurricanes. That was the last one. So we're not
great venue, but couldn't
we're
bring
not
in my
pulling
purse.
punches here. We're not, we're calling you out, UCLA, Carolina Hurricanes.
Well, they let
Anaheim
Snoop
Ducks.
Dogg in, and I couldn't
Ducks.
bring in my purse. So.
And yeah, as a husband, I can feel the pain too, because then, like you said, you've got to carry your wallet, your keys, this and that. But in our case, I've got to carry it.
Yeah. Now we can't put stuff in the purse.
Exactly.
There you go.
Now I got to go buy something in the souvenir shop, so I have a bag. Carry my stuff.
Well, in Michigan football, they have their because the big house is so old and there's just not a ton of space. They have their merchandise sales in a huge tent outside across the road. And you're like, well, wait a second. I'm going to buy something out here, and now I can't take it in a bag. And they don't have a clear bag policy. They have a no bag policy. So what everybody does is they get the bag, they fold it up, put it in their pocket, carry whatever they bought, go through security, and then pull the bag out of their pocket, put all their stuff in their bag. It's really, this is security?
That's kind of like the NFL's no bottle cap policy. It's when I used to work for the Patriots. You would know who the regular fans were because they would bring their own bottle cap.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes I'm smart enough to remember it because it's terrible to have to go through the whole game without the cap on your soda. You not kick it over, you spill it, somebody's hair gets in it, all kinds of weird stuff.
Was that not a Cleveland Browns thing? Like, was it not Browns fans that messed that one up for everybody?
That is because of an incident that happened in Cleveland during a snowstorm. They were playing Cincinnati, or maybe not. Maybe they weren't playing Cincinnati, but people were throwing frozen water bottles and stuff off from the upper deck, and somebody actually got clocked with one and got knocked unconscious. And
you mean to tell me a bunch of Philly fans traveled to Cincinnati to throw bottle caps? Because only Philly fans do that. That's what I was told.
Yeah, only Philly fans do awful stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember who the coach was at the time. Or was this a Cincinnati game? I think I'm mixing up two stories here. Because I'm thinking Sam White got over the loudspeaker and said, "You're not Cleveland. This isn't Cleveland. This is Cincinnati," or something like that. That was a different game.
I think the Cincinnati one, they were just throwing snowballs.
Yeah, I'm mixing up the stories. But Cleveland fans were throwing frozen snowballs and frozen water bottles and hitting people with them.
Totally relating to that, probably one of the worst experiences I ever had was going to Toronto for opening day one year. I went probably 13 years in a row to opening day. Then the ticket prices just got stupid and we just stopped going. But at opening day, it was not about baseball anymore. It was the thing to do. It was the thing to do in Toronto. You go to opening day. That was the only day that they would sell out. So they were selling like everything everywhere. And, handicap seating was also at a premium that day. So, you got 45 to 48,000 people in there, and they're using every possible spot that they can. And we were out in the 500s, and they were using the landings for the tunnels as handicap seating as well. Probably not the best idea, but still, I mean, it wasn't terrible. And off to the side of our section, there was this guy, and he was in a rather large wheelchair, and clearly did not have full control over his movements and functions, and just the kind of person that you see and you immediately feel bad for him and whatnot. And somebody probably up 15 rows up or whatever, pretty close to the top, and the Jays have a history of being absolutely terrible on opening day, so I don't know, they didn't score a run or whatever, and some guy threw a nacho cheese cup just down, and it landed on this poor guy in the wheelchair. And that's the other thing that happens when something like that happens. Then the cops show up, and there's 2 innings of everybody watching the cops trying to figure out who threw it. And yeah, that's probably the worst, one of the worst experiences that I ever had in Toronto. Very, very similar to like the bottle caps and throwing stuff in Cleveland.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, the NFL still does the no bottle cap stuff, but I don't think any other sports have picked it up.
To me, it's hit and miss. Some places do, some places don't. You just never know until you go and buy something.
And if you ever want to do an experiment, take a full bottle of soda, take the bottle cap off, and try to throw it. It is much more difficult. All right. So what else we got, folks? Hey, you know what? Let me mix in a fan one here, because this was one that I don't agree with, but man, it got some conversation started. People hate, and this one came from Daily Madden Cub. So it's obviously somebody from the Chicago area or somebody who just likes Joe Madden a whole lot. But something that pisses them off is when people wear the wrong jersey to a ball game.
Oh,
so
no. No.
For example, if you're at a Cubs-Cardinals game and you're wearing a Yankees jersey, that pisses them off.
No.
I know a lot of people like this. I could give to, what?
Guess
I'll wear
what?
I want to wear where I want to wear it.
This is the one time Dan's going to talk this episode. Shut up.
I call BS on that one. There's no way this is the only time Dan talks.
Hey, I'm talking here, Dave. This is going to be rare. No. Shut up. If you think that way, all these people that make these fake rules about what you are and aren't allowed to wear to a venue because it suits you, shut up. I went to No, be quiet. I have a Flyers jersey with my name on it. Apparently, I violated some big rule that I'm not allowed to have my own name on it. Tough crap.
Who says that? You can't put your own name on a jersey?
You can't put... Why? Because it looks stupid. Oh, well, I'm real happy for you. I've gone to a Hershey Bears Admirals game and worn a Phantoms jersey because I'm not going to wear a jersey of a team I don't support, but I'm a hockey fan also. So I'm going to leave this uncensored. Those kind of people kiss my ass. That's ridiculous. That's so stupid. Yeah, there you go.
These are our personalized jerseys here.
That's awesome.
From our wedding.
That's great.
You know what?
That happened to all over the place.
That happened to us. Remember, we went to
dumb rule.
So when Amy got pregnant with our first, I think it's fair to say I thought my life was ending, and I had to get in as much stuff as humanly possible.
He thought his sports life was ending.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. And all his single friends with no kids were telling him he was never going to go anywhere anymore. So then he went on every sporting event. It was like 9 months.
And we didn't have a ton of money, so it was like a sports bender for people.
That just never stopped, basically.
But one weekend we went to Montreal. Went to the Bell Center. I think that was our first time ever at the Bell Center. It was for Leafs Canadians, but we didn't have Leafs or Canadians jerseys on. And man, the comments that we got, like throughout the whole thing,
stupid.
We're getting comments left, comments right. And it wasn't like, we were there wearing Leafs gear in Montreal zone or anything like that.
I think I had a Columbus Blue Jackets jersey on.
Yeah,
but I was also 8 months pregnant, so not much fits, people.
So yeah, and I had my Avs jersey on, and man, we were taking it on the chin, and we've never done it since. You know,
Grow up. This is coming from a Philly fan, and we don't accept anything else. Grow up. That's stupid.
that was also the same game where somebody was smoking weed up there. You remember somebody was smoking weed in the upper deck, and
well, I mean,
you know,
my pet peeve is there's not enough weed at these sporting events.
And there's always some dumb, drunken idiot who comes up to you. Oh, they're not playing Boston tonight. Really? I thought they were. I showed up at the wrong ballpark.
What?
Oh my God, I'm so stupid.
I went to an AHL showcase at Capital One Arena, and it was the Bears and it was the Bears and Admirals game. A different, this is a separate thing. And I just got a Winter Classic from 2012, Winter Classic Chris Pronger jersey out of the bag. I'm like, I'm going to wear this to this game. This is neutral. There's no Philly teams represented, and hey, look, I'm a Hershey Bears fan. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go in this shirt. Some drunk preppy guy from a section above us is like, hey, are the Capitals playing? Are the Flyers playing tonight? And I turn around and say, no, are the Capitals? He goes, I'm going to come down there. He never made it down there because I
remember you telling me this story.
That was the one of 3 incidents that night, all because I was wearing a Pronger jersey. And I have witnesses. I didn't start on one of them. I was just standing there.
Do we want to keep going on jerseys? Because I got another jersey.
Do it.
Yes.
Let's flow organically.
So again, I'm going to challenge Dan and his whole notion that he's not going to talk because this is.
If we ever did a show that was made for Dan, it's tonight's show.
Hold on. Wait up. This is Jersey talk. This doesn't count, but nice try, Dave.
Okay. Okay. So one of my pet peeves, the 3-letter jerseys. You know, Atlanta has them, the ATL, and Phoenix, the PHX.
Oh, I hate.
Philadelphia, the PHX. I don't like that.
I hate
or how about
word marks
that say Bedford Stye on them.
I hate word marks on jerseys in general. Period. So the 3-letter jersey is even more annoying because it's not the full word. So
it seems to be a basketball thing, right? But yeah,
basketball jersey. Okay. The Sixers. I freaking hate that. I like the jersey as a general rule. I especially like the throwback to the 70s jersey. I think those colors are just sweet. But as a general rule, I hate the Philly. The Sixers have a great logo. I don't want to tout Philly here, but the Flyers and Sixers have perfect logos. Basketball and a 76. Or 76ers across it. Why are you not using that on the jersey? God.
I like the dribbling Ben Franklin logo myself.
Oh, get out. Get out.
I know one of Amy's pet peeves is jerseys that take up space in closets.
That's true.
You would
I think
hate
we
my
had
house.
that closet argument on weekend.
We have a closet dedicated to jerseys.
I would guess.
Actually, one time when you went across the border, Dave, the border patrol guy didn't believe you were going to the game you were going to because you had a different jersey on.
I don't remember
That's a
that.
lot of years ago. He was not going to buy your story that you were going to see Detroit or whatever it was because you had a different jersey on. But
hey, Mark's too busy to join us, but he's not too busy to post on Facebook.
Oh,
yeah, no doubt.
Sorry, Amy.
No, that's okay. So part of my background is in sports is that I was kind of the son my dad never had, and he umpired baseball, actually still does. He's going to be 80 this year. And so I went to a ton of games. So when Dave came on the scene, it was kind of an easy transition when he loved sports as well. And my dad refereed hockey too. So one of my big pet peeves is, you know, there's always the annoying heckling fan that we wish would just sit down and shut up. But what drives me nuts is when they're yelling something about the rules or something that happened that is completely wrong. Like if you're going to complain about the officials, which happens all the time, you should know what you're talking about. If it's offside, you should know whether it is or not. Somebody could be out by a mile and they're screaming it's safe. It drives me crazy when they completely get the call wrong and they're standing up making a fool of themselves and don't seem to care about the people around them that are rolling their eyes.
I hope you do what Pam does when that happens. I just have learned that I can just sick Pam on people like that. Like, have you ever like been at a game and behind you is the guy trying to impress his girlfriend, like they're on a first date or something, trying to impress her with how much he knows about sports?
Yes.
And he's just getting everything wrong. And I'll be sitting there, I'll be hitting Pam in the leg the whole time. Come on, say something. Because if I say something, it's just going to come off like a pompous ass. But when she gets up and turns around, you could just literally see the guy just shrink.
We had one of those. I remember it like it was yesterday. We went to the Jays game, and it was when the Expos were still around. So it's the Jays and Expos, and this young couple was there, clearly from Montreal. And I think it must have been Emma with me. And she's just a little scamp, and she's swinging her legs, and she ends up kicking the seat a couple times. And this guy turns around, and he's giving Emma the stink eye, and he's like, "Can you get her to stop kicking my seat?" And then I saw the girl, and she was just like totally mortified. I'm like, "Dude, you just got dumped right here, right now, buddy." You just badmouthed the little kid behind you? You little girl, you're done.
I don't know. I hate when the kids are kicking the back of my chair too. So I've asked a couple kids politely to please stop kicking my chair. But it's all how you frame it. I know the game is really exciting and stuff, but it really bothers me that you keep kicking my chair. Can you try to stop?
I guess you wouldn't have liked when Jackson knocked somebody with a water ball.
No, that's
I've been hit in the head with all kinds of stuff.
Oh man, in Syracuse, he like two-handed like some dude in the ears right in front, like just cupped both ears.
Oh jeez.
We moved really quickly from that spot.
Jackson doing that.
Our kids are really good at games though, but yeah, a couple times.
I'd be more mad at the parents, right?
Yeah.
So
I think he was. That dude was not a happy camper. I think he was equally mad at us.
Well, like if it's a little kid, it's like, well,
yeah,
it's your little kid. The kid doesn't want to be here really. The kid is interested in everything else going on around them. But if it's like an 8-year-old and the kid is just doing that, absolutely. And the parents not doing anything, just turn around and go, "I'm going to kill you if you don't stop your child from kicking his seat. Not him, you."
It also means a little something if I get up and turn around, because I'm bigger than most of the guys I'll turn around and look at.
I don't have that effect.
My buddy and I used to have a system. We would sit like 3 or 4 seats when my kids were little, and they used to come to the game. It was my excuse to get out of the house. We would sit like 2 or 3 seats apart, so the kids had a little running room in between.
We used to do the same thing if we had room to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they were really small.
Here's one for you guys. You guys, I know, will appreciate this. Here's a pet peeve of mine right here. No leg room. That was my seat in Buffalo. Like literally, the distance from the end of the seat to the seat in front of me was the length of my phone, and that was like row 14 or something. So. Not only was there no leg room, but these are like expensive seats.
Listen, I'm 5'5". I'm not talking about width because I know I'm a big guy. It's like whatever. Most arenas are not made for fat guys. I think Paul and I will yeah.
Hey, who are you calling fat?
I'm calling you fat, Paul.
Fat.
But if my feet at 5'5", which is not being affected by my stomach because I know how to sit, can't fit in a seat because there's no room. If a 5'5" guy is complaining about that, you've built that arena incorrectly. Like that's a problem.
And that seems to be more and more in new arenas too. They're building them like airplanes now.
New arenas or repurposed or refitted arenas. Boston, what the hell is it called? TD Garden has that, and the Wells Fargo Center. I was like, well, where'd you make this for?
I was sitting there in Buffalo, and I see this, and I'm just like, this is my father-in-law's Christmas present. You know, he's 80, and I've taken him down to the Sabres game, and we get this, and he's taller than I am, and so you know, who do I text? Who do I know in Buffalo? Hey, Andrew Kulik, what the hell is with this seat? What's going on down here? He says, well, what section are you in? So I tell him, He's like, "Oh yeah, man, my season tickets are in the next section over. Yeah, we got no leg room there." Holy!
You kind of expect it in the cheap seats up top, but yeah, that when you're paying $150 for a seat and you still can't sit in it, something's wrong.
Well, the one game we went to, I think it might have been Buffalo too, Dave. We ended up in like bleachers, and there was a gap in the leg room, and our kids were small.
That was
and I mean, Jackson could have fallen right through and landed on the ground. So we actually complained because there was no way. He was very small, like he would have been running around and would have fallen. And they wouldn't let us switch seats.
That was in Syracuse at the Syracuse Crunch, and we were in the front row, but essentially it was almost like our seats were on a scaffold, and there was a gap between like the glass and where we were sitting, and he could have totally fallen. So, I went to the it's really early, went to the customer service, said, here's the problem. Well, I can't reissue you tickets. I can't give you different tickets. I'm like, why not? Well, I just can't. It's against our policy. Da, da, da.
They couldn't spare any in Syracuse for a minor league hockey game.
Yeah, I mean, there was tons of other seats.
Well, so my response was, and we didn't know that there were tons of other seats at the time, but my response was, okay, so if my kid falls, I just want you to know that I'm going to sue you. Suddenly we got new tickets. I don't know how that happened.
Magic.
And then found out that there were about 3,000 empty seats in the joint, and it was no big deal, really.
Hey, you know what? One of our listeners also had that same pet peeve. Greg Johnston, who is our Maritimes regional correspondent. Seats with minimal leg room. Hey, this kind of segues into a couple of Pam's pet peeves she let me know about. We were talking about half-empty stadiums not being able to move. Pet peeve of hers, people who insist on sitting in their seat, even if the entire rest of the section or row is empty.
Just move over.
I didn't get a response. I hate that.
Just move over.
Nothing.
Just move over. Just move over a little bit.
Yeah, move the next seat over. Come on.
I have to sit right next to the person.
This is my seat. And Pam and I will spread out, and especially at a hockey game in a half-full arena, the coach will be in this seat, I'll be in this seat. Pam usually puts a bumper seat in me. I think maybe I smell funny or something. She'll sit there, and all the stuff she brings in a bag of stuff. That's got its seat. People got to come sit right in between you and jam in. Not happy about that.
Pam is doing that right.
Or how about the ushers who check your tickets even when the whole section's empty to make sure you're sitting in your right seat?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's more of them being bored and having nothing to do.
That one came from James Hilchin.
Yeah.
I mean, technically they're doing their job, James.
What else you got? What else you got on the big list there?
I don't know. Does Amy, you came on to air your grievances. Do you have any more? We've been
Does she have more? Oh my gosh.
Go for it.
Well, one thing we've noticed, especially if you're traveling far away, and Dave always likes to get there early to scope the whole place out and check everything out. When they only let you in like about an hour before game time, so you're standing outside either in the freezing cold or in the boiling hot, and we've done both, waiting to get in, and you're thinking, why don't they let you in a bit earlier? You'd probably spend more time at the store, you'd probably get snacks earlier and then be hungry again. Why do they make you all sit outside for only an hour? An hour really isn't enough time. It certainly isn't enough time for Dave to scope out everything and check out all the stuff. So that was one of mine.
I want to say that at the old, whatever it was, Continental Airlines in Jersey, where the Devils used to play and the Nets used to play, I think they opened the doors like 45 minutes before the puck dropped for the
Seems
Devils.
about right.
It was like,
wow.
It was 45 minutes or half hour. It was easily like the smallest time I'd seen yet.
To be fair, nobody wanted to get there on time or before time anyway, because it was the Continental Airlines Arena.
Run to your seat, quick.
Quick.
We're gonna start without you.
Oh God, I just remember seeing that place on TV so much. It looks like a hole. It just.
Here's one for you. When you're up at the top seat, like you're at the top level, and this happened when we went to Jersey, saw the Devils. We were like, I don't know, 30 rows up or whatever, and you got to climb all the stairs, and you get to the top, and you sit down and whatnot, and the kid goes, "I have to pee."
Oh gosh, that never happened to us.
I think that's more of a you pet peeve than a stadium pet peeve. Why did you?
When you've got to get to your seat and somebody who's either sat there before you or is there now has been eating a bag of peanuts, and you've got to walk over, around, or through a big pile of peanut shells. I hate that.
Well, this is like the 2020s now. You could say those kill people, man.
Hey, wait, somebody else hated peanut shells. Who was it?
Other than you?
I don't mind peanut. I just don't like walking through them. You know that they make peanuts that are already taken out of the shells. There's no need to have to work so hard. Yeah. A lot of work for a little peanut.
That's actually a very good point.
So my brother-in-law is going to
that came from
really be
Brandon.
He's really going to be checking out to see if I mention this, because we go to a lot of Canadian university games, and a lot of it is student run, which would usually include the playlist. So one of my pet peeves, Drake music. Every Laurier game, Drake music. The whole warm-up. Not a fan.
Or how about when just the music is cranked up so loud that you can't even talk to the person next to you without screaming?
Yeah.
See, this is where we're sounding like grumpy old men.
Yeah, I was going to say that one. I'm with you, but I don't mention that one often because it just makes me sound old.
Yeah. Or when you're trying to do PA announcements and somebody decides it's a good time to crank up the music.
Oh, here's one for you. When you're at a college game and the band plays and they play different music over the PA at the same time. Like, I don't need to hear the Drake over the PA. Just mic the band and we're good.
I hate when they just play piped in music anyway when there's a band there. If there's a band there, the band should be playing.
That's right.
Or the organ.
The organ. Pet peeve of Amy's, when the organist at the Tampa Bay Lightning won't let her play.
I was there. I had my picture right in front of it, and they didn't let me do a song. But anyway.
My pet
peeve.
I
have one that's not really at the game necessarily happening right in front of you, but and Dave will know this right away and will probably smack his forehead when I say it, but I hate when they interview the players.
Oh, I'm with you on that one.
I don't care what they think. They don't say really anything other than, yeah, we're giving our heart out there, 110%. We're going to go and score some goals or whatever. No one cares what they have to say.
Hockey players are the worst at interviews.
Cliches.
Yeah. It's one rambling cliche, and
one podcast at a time, and we're giving it 110%. And we need heart and grit. And
he just passed it to me at the right time, and I was able to put it back in. It's a team sport. It's not about me. It's about the team. There's been a few exceptions, like that Blackhawks Flyers series, and Pronger was stealing pucks and at the end of the game from the team and just hiding them in the locker room and just messing around with the reporters. There's every now and then you get a personality that shines, but most of the time.
Well, I have to do a shout out here for you guys probably heard about the emergency backup goalie situation.
Oh yeah.
At the Leafs game, and this Zamboni driver from Whitby, Ontario, became a legend, winning his NHL debut as the backup goalie. His interview after was pure joy and was actually something to watch. I normally hate player interviews, but his was a blast. But I didn't like how the way some sportscasters made it a big deal that happened and he wasn't as good as other goalies and everything, because it was amazing for people who were hockey fans or people who weren't hockey fans to grab onto that story. And I thought his interview was very cool. He was very genuine and very excited.
And breaking news today, the general managers in the NHL decided not to change the system.
Good, it ain't broken.
Yeah. Well, I figured that you guys, you AHL fans, would be like minor freaking out if they change the system. right? Because that's, you dress 3 goalies. Well, you're going to take your top AHL goalie, and then that just weakens.
Well, it will probably end up being a journeyman type, because they're not going to. If you have a stud prospect goalie, you're not going to call him up to sit as your third stringer in the majors.
Yeah.
And talk about player interviews. I hate when somebody credits God as God let me win. God doesn't care. He's not rooting for you over the other team. If he's watching the game, he's a neutral party. God.
Well, Jerry Jones always said, and Tex Schramm, they always said that God was a Cowboys fan. So
that's why they put a hole in the top of the stadium so God could watch the game too.
I don't know about that one.
That was the old story from the old Texas Stadium.
Yeah.
Remember how it was a dome, but it wasn't a complete dome? It had a big hole in the middle over the field.
Yep.
That was
the best player interview to me was I think it was Jeremy Roenick was chirping Patrick Waugh, and he said, "I could not hear him. I had my Stanley Cup ring in my ear."
No. He goes, no, he was chirping him because I couldn't hear him. I have the Stanley Cup rings plugging my ears, and he had none.
What else you got on your list, Amy?
Well, we can swing over to food. I know you guys love. I've heard one of your podcasts about food.
Oh, we don't talk food.
Hey, somebody does listen.
See, I had to do my research to come on here. Number one thing I hate is when the concessions don't have anything with chocolate. Like they don't have my ice cream flavor I like. David he always looks for the deep fried Oreos. Like you gotta have something chocolate on the menu, otherwise forget it. But also if they close down the majority of the concession stands and they have one open or none open in the top sections, and you have to go all the way down and fight through the crowds to get food. That's annoying.
I don't know. I spent a dozen years working in concessions, and I hated it when they closed everybody down except my stand. And I hated that's what they did at McCoy. And at Gillette, they made us stay open past the end of the game. I hated that too. They just couldn't win.
I think they were just doing it to mess with you, Paul.
Could be. Could very
well
be.
I'm probably in the minority on this one. Maybe. I don't know. The vendors that go up and down the aisles, I hate them. They just bug me. And all these weird things happen in Chicago where the White Sox play. Like they had that drunk dude and his kid. They hopped over and they beat up that 80-year-old coach from Kansas City, and they had disco demolition and all of these bad things. Why is this always happening here at the White Sox? I know why. Because there's more beer vendors than fans. Like, you're probably looking at about 15 different beer vendors going up and down your aisle per inning.
However, the best at your seat vendors is when we were in San Francisco, and San Diego did this too. They had the big Ghirardelli hot chocolate guy with the jetpack who made you a hot chocolate at your seat. Okay. And then they had warm donut holes to go with it. That was good.
Let me just say, Dave, that guy can interrupt any time of the game, any part of the game, if he's got a jetpack with chocolate in it.
All right, so a couple of things here. Our listener, Josh Leaks, says one of his pet peeves is not tipping your vendor. So he must be a vendor. Also, I supervised the vendors at McCoy Stadium for a couple of years. So, no, vendors are good. And have you ever sat in the expensive seats where the waitress is or somebody comes to you and delivers all your food so you don't even have to get up to go to the concession stand? I don't like that. It's like that takes away a piece of the ballpark experience to me. I've sat in those seats a few times here and there, and I've never ordered anything from a waitress. I've always got up myself.
And then you're looking at the menu that's there going, okay, if I order off this, am I getting scammed? Is it too much cheaper if I go and walk?
Want the prime rib today at the game, or do I want? Oh, hey, something a common theme that came up with a lot of our listeners' pet peeves are other fans, oblivious fans, getting up in front of you during the action.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God.
And I hate the ushers that let them walk down the stairs and go to their seats.
I hate the ushers that walk in front of you during the action. How is this not a thing? Sit down. Move.
Paul hates the team photographers that stand up on the glass in front of the action.
Where was it? That was this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, I know a few of those. I have to disagree.
Where's
It
that, New
wasn't in
Hampshire?
my way, but can you imagine sitting there and there's this kid, and he was just trying to get a good shot because, in hockey it's tough now with all the nets everywhere. But he stood for a good half of a period on the glass.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, is that long?
Could you imagine being out and nobody said anything to him? People in New Hampshire are too nice. What can I say? Well, New Hampshire is the one Republican state in New England, so it's a little different up there, I guess.
Well, we were speaking before about people sitting in the right seat or the wrong seat. I'm amazed how many people are sitting in the wrong section, and then the real people that did have that seat come and want their seat, and especially if it's full. And then the families, the two of them, will kind of argue over which section this is and who is entitled to that seat. Meanwhile, the game's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like
we
there's
had one of
signs.
those really bad in Florida.
It's
At
not
the
like
Panthers game.
Yeah,
were
I
playing
mean, they
the
were yelling
Canadians.
at each other.
This is my seat! That is my seat!
it's not like there's signs and numbers and letters pointed everywhere where you are and where to go.
Or just ask all of us. We're watching you and want you to sit down.
We're in section 108. Get the F out.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Oakes, who's been on the podcast before, that was one of his pet peeves. People who come in late, can't find their seat, stand there in everybody's way, don't move. Yeah, I think we can all agree that.
Yeah, fans who come in late, that's one for me, especially if I'm writing and I want to get a good picture, right? It's like, oh, I could take the picture now because it's opening face-off, but I know there's probably another, 1,000 people that are out in the concourse still, and my picture will be better a little bit later, but...
Or everybody's still walking in their seats, so you get a picture of the back of somebody's head.
Well, see, I just use DC as an example for that with people coming late. It's impossible to get anywhere in DC. Even if you plan, okay, the game's at 7, I'm going to leave 4 hours ahead of time. You're still going to be late because it's friggin' DC. So it's like, I understand the pet peeve, but in a city like that, and it's not easy to get around because public transportation you got rush hour. It's a mess to get to any sporting event. Paul McCartney played Nat Stadium. We left 3 hours ahead of time, and I didn't get in until 35 minutes after the scheduled start. But luckily, I don't know how this worked out, but there was a threat of a thunderstorm, so Paul postponed the show an hour, and it's the only reason why I didn't miss the opening song. And if I would have missed 8 days a week, there would have been trouble.
Dave, you said that this show may have the potential to run for hours and hours. We've been talking for 45 minutes about our pet peeves, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
So I think it might be time to start wrapping up with some of our biggest pet peeves if we haven't touched on them already.
I got my one big one, and I won't go too much into it.
Oh, boy.
Instant replay. I don't even care anymore. Get it wrong. I don't care. I don't want to sit at the game for 10 minutes waiting for you guys to figure out whether or not it was a goal or whether or not it was offside or whether or not it was a touchdown. Like, now I don't care anymore. Football's the worst for that because it's already so disjointed and it's already so long. Like, we were at a game in Ohio University, and it was like 4.5 hours long, and it was like, no more replay. I don't care anymore. And they don't play it and they don't even let you see what the big call is.
Yeah, what are they looking at? I don't know.
Instant replay? Nope.
Hey, on the positive side, the NHL Board of Governors are going to amend the offsides rule. Finally, can we reward the 100 goals that the Bruins have had disallowed in the past 2 years?
No. No.
I could solve instant replay in exactly 10 seconds for you, Dave.
That's all they get, 10 seconds.
Every coach gets 2 challenges a game. The only time you're going to look at anything is if a coach challenges it. Once the challenge starts, you have 1 minute. If you can't make a decision, you lose the challenge. Boom, done, over.
And you got to challenge it instantly. You can't
Yeah,
hold
like
your
in baseball.
finger up. Wait, we're
Do I
checking
want
it out.
Wait. Yeah. No. Never mind.
That's my biggest one.
You're going to care when it affects one of your teams in a game-winning goal and they don't get it because it's offside.
No.
Oh, you're
What are
caring
you, a
then.
Buffalo Sabres fan? Fred Hull?
No.
Wah.
Wah, Fred Hull's skate was in the crease.
Yeah.
Still, what was that? 21
Board-
years ago?
Hey, Board of Governors, I have a pet peeve, the trapezoid. Brodor retired. Stop it.
How about you, Amy? You got any big ones that we haven't gotten to?
I think one other one we had, when you come out of the venue and you have no idea where your car is because the parking lot is so bad. We came out of a Dodgers game. And,
Ooh, that's a bad one too.
And we had a rental car, a gray rental car. I still hear Jackson going, "It's a Sebring, Mommy. Look for the Sebring." And we're walking and walking and walking, and our key didn't even beep, so we couldn't even find it that way. We walked forever till finally some poor guy on a golf cart came by and said, "Okay, well, what time did you come, and what highway did you come from?" Yeah, I think we would have still been there if everybody hadn't cleared out and found our car.
You guys would still be looking for a gray Sebring, and this year going, "Where's our car?"
Hey, that happens to me every day when I leave work, so I can feel your pain on that.
I never forget my car. I don't know.
All right, here's my one that we didn't get to. Cup holders. I hate cup holders. They're always put in one of three places, and none of them work. They're put on the armrest, which means they're totally useless because, face it, it's gonna be like halfway up my back, so I'm not gonna be able to use that cup holder. Or they put it on the floor of the robe in front of you, so you're gonna trip over it. Or it's halfway up, which means you're gonna kick it with your shin and just hurt yourself that way. So I'd rather have my soda put on the floor. It's where I usually put it anyway. And you know what? If it's a higher up cup holder and it's one of those places that don't give you a cover to your cup and you're sitting behind a woman with long hair, guess where her hair is?
In your cup. My favorite kind of soda is the hair flavored one.
This tastes like hair. That's just wonderful.
Ooh, it got extra bits in it.
Carbonated Vidal Sassoon.
Ooh, she used Head and Shoulders today. Oh. All right, so let me wrap up with a few things we got from listeners. Let's see if there's any good ones we didn't hit on. Let's see. Concourses without tables, so fans are forced to eat in their seats with their food on their laps. Yeah, I don't like doing that. Let's see. Fans
Wait, what now? Do that one again?
Concourses without tables, so fans are forced to eat in their seats with their food in their laps.
All right.
This is a fan who wants to be a little civilized, would like to have a table.
It's a sporting event. What's civilized?
That's Amy's pet peeve when Jackson has to do that, because then he comes home with whatever he ate on his shirt.
Oh, I do that too. So
I'm 36 and I go home.
He had chicken wing sauce on his back somehow. I don't know how that happened.
I'm 36. I go home with what I ate.
Yeah. What did you have for dinner today? Well, what do you see?
This is lunch. This was breakfast. This down here is dinner.
All right, here's some good ones. The broken glass sound effect after every foul ball.
Ooh, yeah, too much.
Sweet Caroline being played at every single sporting event nationwide.
Yeah,
that was from Mark. Mark's other one is a good one. Ticket surcharges for game day purchases.
Yes.
I have a pet peeve. A member of a podcast not doing the podcast but still posting on Facebook the entire time.
Well, we beautified the podcast without him. So
that's true.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Oh, brownie points.
You got it.
Here's a good one. People who video the entire game and block your view with their phone.
Oh
yes. Who's been behind somebody doing this all game? Dude, put your phone down.
Dude, the only reason why I didn't say anything to this person was because they were kind of to my right. But I went to 3 or 4 years ago. I went to a WWE SmackDown taping. They also taped the syndicated show main event and a tribute to the troops episode. So all in all, it was about 5 hours of wrestling. And this guy not only had his phone, but he had another phone live streaming it the entire time. And I took a picture of it, and I've got to find it. I took a picture of it and put it on Instagram. And I said, "You know it's on TV, right?"
Did he have those like lizard eyes that can move independently? Because
No, he was just
I
doing
wouldn't be able
this.
to concentrate on two screens at once.
He was kind
One
of.
would be shooting.
He had
Yeah,
one.
one would be shooting my foot or
No,
something.
he had one landscape and one regular, and he held them together and just moved them together. I was like, "Oh my god, it's being filmed by a professional crew in high def. What are you doing?"
Here's one that's a little bit opposite. So, my pet peeve is that person who stands up during the intermission and stands in front of the guy who's trying to videotape his kid playing in the mini game or his kid dancing at halftime or whatever. Like,
That's a good one.
Mhm.
Gotta find this.
not that that's ever been me, but
How about this, Dan? We've talked about this one on Obey the Puck. Teams that refuse to allow customers from a certain area buy tickets.
Speaking of Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
sorry, Rev.
Nashville.
oh, you know
Nashville.
which one you didn't say? Nobody said when you can't do the 360 lap, the venue without the 360,
Oh, that's true.
Horseshoe
Yeah, I forgot
concourses.
that one.
Yes. I don't like horseshoe concourses.
or where you are restricted to a certain area based on your ticket. Yankee Stadium, you got a bleacher ticket, you had to stay in the bleachers. You couldn't go anywhere else.
Chicago White Sox.
Lehigh Valley does that. They have the hat, like it stops at a certain point and you can't walk a complete circle around the Phantom's concourse. It just stops. It goes into opposite. I'm like, wait, what? I must walk. I must go. I can't find this damn picture. Damn it! It's so funny.
Let's see. What else did people say? The wave is a pet peeve.
Oh God.
And we'll finish with a strange one that I don't really have. Not a problem for me, but fans who bring a book and read at the game.
Oh, I have one.
Read a book.
I have a pet peeve. People who think Orbit is a better mascot than the Fanatic.
What?
Who's Orbit?
That's just stupid.
Thank you. Orbit is the Astros mascot, and the less said about that, the better at this point. Listen.
Easy.
At the time, I didn't say anything because this person was dating a friend of mine, and now that she's not, you're a moron. That's not a thing. It was never a thing. Stop it.
So there we go, folks. An hour of what really grinds our gears at the ballpark. If you're listening to this and you want to post any of your pet peeves on our social media channels, feel free. Stadium Journey, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Amy, anything else from you that you want to leave a negative impression with our listeners?
No, I've had a blast, guys. Thanks for having me on. You know, the biggest question I get is, why do you let your husband go to all the sports stuff? So to set the record straight, number one, it's his passion. So, you know, I'm understanding and supportive of that. The other thing is I always know where he is, especially now that he always posts stuff. So not everybody can say that.
That was like the old Valerie Bertinelli line when she was married to Eddie Van Halen. Because I know he won't fool around on me. His mistress is his guitar. No, I don't think that ended up being true, but kind of along the same line.
I really thought Amy's answer was going to be, I don't know.
Hey, Amy, from day one, we've talked about having all the wives do a show so we can just kind of go away and you guys can talk about all the questions like that. I still think that would be a great idea.
Yeah,
I
but
think we
I'm
just
down with
paved
it.
the way for that to happen now.
I
But-
think
but
this
was
so.
the
I think
Kelly-
you might have a whole new crop of followers here tonight. So
But-
Yeah, maybe.
there you
But
go.
Kelly would be the one sitting there going, what are you, crazy? She wants to...
Yeah. Kelly knows more than all of us put together.
Oh, he just put you over. Paul said you know more about this stuff than all of us put together. Just venues and traveling and... Used to. She said used to.
Amy, I don't know if you're going to stick around for our visit part, but you are welcome to if you'd want.
Sure, I'll hear where my husband went.
Just to make sure it matches up with your notes.
Yeah.
Damn it, Dave's like, damn, I can't talk about the strip club now.
Come on, Paul. You wanted the one thing, the one question, and you still haven't asked it.
What was that?
About my trip to Boston.
I did. I said it right at the beginning of the show.
I don't think we were on yet.
All right, so what's my question?
Valentine's Day one.
Yeah. So I bet all of the women out there are wondering, how in the world do you let your husband go away to Boston on Valentine's Day?
Well, see, the thing is, I'm an accountant, so this time of year is really busy for me. So Valentine's Day is one of those holidays we try and squeeze in a dinner, but it's probably not as big a deal as it is for somebody.
So I got an answer for that. To all of the ladies and gentlemen out there, if your relationship is like predicated on a made-up holiday like Valentine's Day being important, you have issues. You have big issues if Valentine's Day needs to be that important.
I'm one to talk because you know what Pam and I did for Valentine's Day? We went to a Providence Bruins game.
Yeah, I was going to say, you went to the P Bruins.
So the last 2 weeks was not Valentine's Day, but Dave, where have you been in the last fortnight? That's my fancy word for the evening.
Oh, here we go, Fortnite again. Well, I did take a trip, took my father-in-law to Buffalo to the Sabres. I already talked about the lack of seating there. And, you know, we've talked about the KeyBank Center. It's pretty okay. They actually, one thing they did have, they had Rick Jenneret basically broadcasting from the stands. And he is, if he's not 80, he's close to 80. And we passed him going in. They had him shooting the T-shirt gun. And it wasn't working, the poor guy. So he'd shoot the T-shirt gun and literally it would go like one row ahead. But yeah, he was pretty close. And you know, of course, local celebrity, they all loved him there. We happened to pass him in the concourse, and he had like a security detail going by, and lots of people saying good things about him, because I think if he hasn't broken the record, he's like on his way to breaking the record for like the most games called or something like that. And then last weekend on Saturday, I was in Rochester for the old Nighthawks, new Nighthawks, the new Rochester Nighthawks, who are not the old Rochester Nighthawks. So,
correct.
You know, I was really kind of torn there. It's a tough situation. You know, the Nighthawks previously, that, you know, they had quite the history from like '97. They won 5 championships. The owner just basically picked them up and moved them to Halifax, and they're the new Thunderbirds. Took like everything basically except the building and the name Nighthawks. So we got new colors, new logo, new players, new bosses, new everything basically. And you just hope that it sticks. You know, the attendance has taken a bit of a dip. I think it helped that the Nighthawks were pretty bad last year, so you know they weren't. It's not like they lost a championship team or anything like that. But it was kind of sad to see all of those championship banners gone, and I'm not sure if they should have been gone or not. You know, like there was a banner for John Grant Jr. and it's gone now. You know, me personally, I think I would have left it up. You know, John Grant Jr. was like, he was in Rochester. He wasn't in Halifax. You know, he holds no cachet in Halifax. He does in Rochester. So that's.
Well, John Grant plays in the Premier Lacrosse League now anyway, so.
Yeah, that dude's like, I think he's older than I am. That's pretty old.
What is he, 42?
I don't know. But that's it. Yeah, short week.
Okay, let's see. For me, I was kind of busy, but really not a lot of noteworthy places. I did the small New England college gymnasium tour. So over the past 2 weeks, I've been to gyms in Merrimack, UMass Dartmouth, Bryant, UNH, which is the University of New Hampshire, and Quinnipiac. So let's see. Merrimack, 1,200 seat gym. This is Division I. 1,200 seats. It's got bleachers that fold into the wall. It's got hoops that you can lower down from the ceiling, so you can use it when it's not game day. But the place was packed. There were probably 1,500 people in this 1,200 seat gym. So it was kind of a cool experience. And Merrimack has set the record for most wins by a team in their first year in Division I. So they got that going for them. But as far as a facility, I don't know if they have plans to build something new, but I don't think this would be something that's long term. And I guess if they're looking at an average attendance of about 700 or so, then it's perfectly adequate. It's a nice place, got a nice big lobby, good sized bathrooms, got their Hall of Fame. It's nice and shiny. The hockey rink is attached to it, so it's a pretty decent place. It's called Hamel Court. That was Merrimack. I saw them win. They actually are in first place in the New England Northeast Conference in their first year in Division One. So that's pretty cool. Bryant University, another small place. It seats about 2,000 now. Pretty different setup. It's got the seating on both sides. One side is bleachers, and the other side is brand new individual seats that they've installed a couple years ago. So you can either sit on a hard wooden bleacher, or you can sit in a nice comfortable chair. And they sell all the tickets as general admission, so you can pick what you want. But most of the people pick the bleachers, believe it or not. And by your silence, I can see that you do not believe it. Bryant's it's another nice small gym, not a whole lot there. Went to UNH this weekend, another small place, bleachers, no seating on the end, probably about 700, 750 people there, and that's a good sized crowd for them. Nothing too fantastic about the UNH gym. The cool thing about UNH is it's part of this bigger field house. And if you roam the hallways of the field house where all the athletic department offices are, they have what they call their gallery. Yeah, I think it's just called the UNH gallery. They have pictures of every varsity team in every sport since the beginning of the college. So that's really cool.
That's a lot of pictures.
It is. It goes back to the 1800s. And so eventually they've got to run out of room in this place. But it's really cool to go back. And if you're an NHL fan, you can find lots of NHL players. You can find one guy who's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Rod Langway went to college at UNH. You can find a Baseball Hall of Famer if you look through the basketball photos. Carlton Fisk spent 1 year at UNH on a basketball scholarship.
Wow.
And then after his freshman year, got drafted by the Red Sox and said, you know what? I'm 6'2". I'm not going to make the NBA. Let me go to baseball. And he made the right choice. You can find a hockey player who turned into an actor whose most famous role was a hockey player. That would be Michael Onkeen, who played Ned Braden in the movie Slapshot. He went to UNH, played varsity hockey for 3 years there. And if you look at the women's hockey pictures through the 80s and early 90s, you will see that the coach for the women's team every year for the team photo has his cat with him. I was looking at the pictures, and some lady said, "Did you go look at the pictures over here? The coach is holding his cat." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I went over there. And aside from there being a ton of professional women's hockey players who have passed through UNH, in fact, one team had like 8 of them on one team. I don't know how they didn't win the national championship. The coach, for 14 consecutive seasons, has got his black and white cat in his arms for every team photo. So that was pretty different. That's the coolest thing about UNH. The gym is just so, but the field house, I could probably spend hours and hours there, and usually do when I go up there. And it's attached to the football stadium. Is right on the back side of it, which is a really nice FCS football stadium. And across the street is the Whittemore Center, where I went that evening to see UNH hockey. And that's one of my favorite hockey arenas. Every time I go, I seem to like it a lot more. And one of the reasons I like it is because it's got a lot of stuff. Like I was just talking about the pictures. They've got pictures on the wall of every UNH men's and women's team. They've got displays for the hockey history in New Hampshire, men's and women's. They've got pictures of all Americans. So you can see a lot of famous names have gone through UNH, which you wouldn't really think for such a small out of the way school. But New Hampshire is a big hockey hotbed. Durham is only an hour outside of Boston. So, it's right in the middle of the hub of hockey, as they call it around here. One of the cool traditions that they have in New Hampshire, and I'll incorporate this into my review when I write it, is after the first goal, they throw a fish on the ice. This comes back from the days of the 70s because the opposing goalie has to fish the puck out of the net. So they would throw a fish on the ice to symbolize that. The bigger the game, the bigger the fish. And so the game I happened to go to, they played UMass Lowell, who's nationally ranked. I think they're ranked number 12. And New Hampshire didn't score till about 3/4 of the way through the second period. So I would hate to be sitting next to that kid who was sitting there with a fish the whole game. So that's one of the cool things to do at UNH. And where was the other one I went to? Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac has got a really nice gym, but nobody goes. I've been there a couple times for basketball. Probably 1,000 people tops were there in this 3,000-seat gym. It's one of those where you go in at the top, all the seats go down, all the way around, 360-degree seating bowl, nice seats, good views of the action. Actually got some luxury boxes, which look like a really cool place to watch the game from. And but there were only about 1,000 people there, so the game was, maybe it was because I had been to 4 games in 2 days. I was kind of worn out, so the game was just meh. And so that was Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac's kind of cool setup too. You got the basketball on this side, you got the hockey on this side, and a shared lobby in the middle. So it's a cool place. It is brand new, and it was all environmentally friendly. That's Quinnipiac's thing. Definitely, if you know, it's only what? How far is New Haven from New York? About an hour. You're in the area, you want to see a good place, it's a good place to go. So those were my travels. And that'll be about time for us to wrap up our show for tonight. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, Amy, for joining us, if you're still there.
Thanks again. That was fun.
And so let's see. I can't ask Mark if he's got any Stadium Journeys planned, but you can follow him online at Ballpark Hunter. How about you, Dan? Where can our listeners follow you?
Follow me at DanLaw83.
Dave, where are you going? And where can our listeners follow you online?
Where are you allowed to go?
Wow.
Well, in the next couple weeks, I hope to update our reviews for the Barrie Colts of the OHL, and hope to hit the Kitchener Rangers to update that review as well. Rangers are currently getting killed by the London Knights, so that's not good. But that's going to bring us up to our next podcast, which I will be absent from because it's March break. March break! Woohoo!
And he takes my kids away.
Well, that's a plus.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, but
headed...
I get to work.
Yeah. Well, while the boss is working, we will be in Colorado. So
it's tax season.
Tax season.
Of course, I'm working.
So Avalanche, Nuggets, Mammoth, and Colorado Rapids in that trip, and that's Emma is going to be 18 after this one, so it might just be like the last big March break trip for us. But you can follow all that stuff on Twitter and Instagram at ProFan9.
Do you think you will be able to trick your children into eating some Rocky Mountain oysters?
No.
What kind of dad are you?
The kind who doesn't want to have to clean up bar.
Yeah. Can't say I blame you. As for me, let's see. This weekend, I'll be visiting the Providence Bruins, UMass Amherst basketball. The Boston Pride, I'll be doing the PA for their playoff game this Sunday. And right after the Pride's game, I've got to hightail it over to the Garden because I have tickets to go see the Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So hopefully the Pride don't end up going into overtime. And next weekend, I actually have nothing planned next weekend, but hopefully I'll be calling the NWHL Championship game. So that would be Friday night. You can follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter or Instagram at PuckmanRI. And be sure to check out our website, stadiumjourney.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Stadium Journey. You can find the Stadium Journey podcast as well as all of HIAC Talk Radio's other great content at thebradyhicks.com, or watch all of our podcasts on YouTube at youtube.com/danlaw83. And don't forget to follow HIAC Talk Radio at where else? HIAC Talk Radio. So for Amy Cottenie, for Dan Calachico, for the absent Mark Viquez, and Dave Cottenie, I am Paul Baker, wishing you all close games and safe journeys.